This is my crypto portfolio, and over the last 72 hours, while the crypto market's been bleeding, I've been aggressively buying into certain altcoins on this list. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly which altcoins I've been buying and why specifically those altcoins. I'm also going to tell you that despite the fact the market sentiment is horrible right now, that there are a number of indicators that are flashing, telling us that the market conditions are about to improve in a big way. So if that sounds good, do me a favor, hit that like button. Let's get into today's video. Now guys, before we find out about which altcoins I'm holding and why I'm telling you about my crypto portfolio on a day like today, we need to talk about what is going on in the crypto markets and why there are a number of indicators flashing telling us that things are going to get much better sooner rather than you think. First things first, as we jump across to the Bitcoin chart right now, we can see that Bitcoin is at 85k, which actually isn't terrible considering just yesterday it got as low as 78k. But the first major indicator that we should be talking about is none other than the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. Is because that indicator right now is at max fear pretty much, and we haven't seen it hit the levels of fear that it hit yesterday since the FTX crash. And for those of you who weren't around to experience the unpleasantries of that day, let me show you what happened. Bitcoin, by that point, was already down 70% from all-time highs. Okay, if you think things are bad now, imagine 70% down. From there, Bitcoin then collapsed pretty much 26% in a 48-hour period, on top of that original decline. Things were pretty desperate at that point. But yesterday, for some reason, the fear was even more intense. So what is the reasoning behind why the fear was so intense yesterday? Well, I think it's because of two reasons. One, there are a lot more new people in the markets this time, okay? A lot more people who maybe haven't experienced a full-blown crypto bull and bear market. And I think right now, a lot of people are expecting the bull market to be raging on and feeling much better. And it's because of that second point where we expect to see a lot more bullish excitement in the market because of Bitcoin ETFs, because of BlackRock's involvement in crypto, because of Donald Trump being a pro-crypto government, because of all these other factors. It's taken us by surprise, and we don't like surprise, and it shocked us, and that's why people are really not that happy right now. But the good news, if you've ever paid attention to Warren Buffett, who's the world's most famous investor, you'll understand that you buy the fear and you sell the greed. Why? Because when the markets are fearful, it typically means that inexperienced investors are panic selling. At the same time, experienced investors will be trying to accumulate into that liquidity. So whenever there is max fear in the market, typically it is the best time to buy, not the worst time to buy for sure. Not only that, but if you couple up this max fear with the global M2 money supply, then you're going to feel a little bit more comfortable about what's going on. Now I know you've been in crypto a while and you've been doing your research, and this comes from Raoul Pal. So Raoul Pal, obviously a very experienced macro investor and shares a lot of very strong knowledge on what is going on in the crypto markets and in fact the wider markets outside of crypto that really are fundamentally driving these crypto markets. And you'll also now understand that the global M2 money supply has a 10-week lead on Bitcoin. And the M2 money supply basically took a big dip at the end of 2024. Why? Probably to do with the fact that Donald Trump was going to get elected and anticipating what was likely to happen once he did get elected, because very similar things happened back in 2017. We saw a very strong dollar, which obviously had a big impact on global markets. All you need to understand, though, simply looking at this, is the M2 money supply, is the black line, has come down aggressively and has then started to come back up. Bitcoin is slightly behind, lagging behind, has also aggressively had its dip down towards the downside now, and will now start to round off before coming back up. So whether things get worse or whatever in the short term, I think highly unlikely due to the fact that we're already at max fear and little Timmy has already sold off all the altcoins he could possibly sell off right now. Then you'll understand that we have much better times ahead of us. Okay, this is a lagging indicator. It doesn't mean that tomorrow the market's going to pump back up, but it does mean that sooner rather than later crypto will start to recover and move towards better times. And right now, looking at this Bitcoin chart around $85,000, things look pretty solid. Okay, the wick up yesterday is now back up 8, nearly 9%. This is more than $100 billion being bought up into Bitcoin over the last 24 hours. And trust me, this isn't retail investors who are forcing this up. This is the smart money. This is the institutional investors who are buying this up. There is no one else who has that kind of liquidity to buy into these markets right now. So if you're wondering whether you should be buying while they're all buying, think about it. That's obviously not financial advice. Go away and do your own research. Trading is risky and all those things. But you already know trading is risky because you all bought back in December and now you're feeling the pain from that. So anyway, why am I showing you my crypto portfolio right now while the markets are down? Typically, everyone wants to show you their crypto portfolios when the markets are up, because it makes us look really good and it's good for the ego. But I wanted to show you for two reasons. The first reason, actually holding the right coins on a day like today is far more beneficial for you than it is after a massive pump in crypto, because it actually means you're going to make money. And as well as that, I wanted to show you that if you're still holding the altcoins, and some of your altcoins or many of your altcoins are down heavily from the end of last year, that you shouldn't be too concerned, because I too am still holding pretty much the same portfolio that I was holding back in August, September, October of last year, and I was updating you in various videos I made back then. There has, however, been a few minor adjustments and tweaks, not only in some of the different altcoins I've been holding, but in the quantities of different altcoins that I've been holding. So, without further ado, let's have a look at it. Now, this is cryptobubbles.net, and you can create a favorites list by literally clicking the drop down and then selecting favorites. Now, many of these altcoins I was accumulating back through last year. So yes, some of these altcoins have managed to stay in profits, because obviously I was buying big positions back in like September for Sui, for example, but a lot of them have come down aggressively. Therefore, by DCAing in and continuing to buy in the dip, I'm bringing down my average price paid and things are looking much better. So what has my strategy been? Well, obviously, back in December, market was looking pretty good. We saw a big pump up and a lot of altcoins were seeing huge drives towards the upside. When we were seeing 4, 5, 6x's happen for some of these coins, like My Lovely Planet, Metacade, etc., I was taking some of the profits off and moving it back into some of the larger cap coins, such as Sui, Aptos, and Ethereum, etc. They did come down, but obviously not quite as aggressively as some of the smaller cap coins. So it has maybe meant that some of this drawdown hasn't been as intense as it could have been. But that's fine. Even though we've seen some significant drawdowns in some of these altcoins, I've been around in previous bull markets, and I know that many of these altcoins, despite seeing 70, 80% drawdowns, will likely go on to drop 20, 30x's from this point. So I'm really not that concerned. More recently, while the market's been flat, not really offering too much in terms of aggressive dips, I've been choosing to buy in more to the likes of Aptos, Ondo, etc. Why? These are larger cap altcoins. As the market's been pretty flat and dipping towards the downside, I wanted to buy into projects that I know with a complete certainty will be around at the end of this year with a massive market cap, okay? No matter what happens in the short term, dumps and pumps and whatever, by the end of this year, when the bull market is raging, Ethereum is likely to do a 3 or 4x. Ondo is likely to do a 7 or an 8x, okay? These projects are huge projects with massive backers and partnerships. They're likely to be some of the fundamental projects behind the future of the finance industry, in my opinion, okay? So this is why I've been kind of buying into those. Now, as the markets have continued to bleed more and more aggressively, there's a few other things that have given me an indicator to be able to buy into specific projects rather than others. And that is the fact that the price action doesn't necessarily reflect some of the exciting things that have been happening for individual projects out there. Like, for example, Metacade, that I've been buying into over the last 48 hours, mainly because of this incredible piece of news that got announced just the other day. And you're thinking to yourself, well, yeah, but I've looked at the Metacade chart, but it's only sort of come back up around 30%, which actually isn't that significant given how much of a big deal this news is. And I think that when the market starts to recover, the amplitude of this news is going to start to have a very positive effect on the Metacade price, considering that the market cap of Metacade right now is floating around $20 million. Now, what is this news announcements and why is it such a big deal? Well, just recently we've had ETH Denver, which is a big crypto event in the US, and Base, the chain of Coinbase, made an announcement of building future partnerships. They announced that they partnered with a handful of different crypto projects for the development of something they're calling app chains, which are specific layer 3 chains that provide dedicated block space for apps looking to scale further on Base, okay? These are projects with high traffic, mature applications, and other benefits going on. Now, Metacade was one of the projects selected by Coinbase to build its own app chain, and that's obviously a huge seal of approval from one of the biggest names in crypto, Coinbase. Not only that, if you look across at DeFi Llama at the Base chain right now, despite the fact the markets have been a little bit temperamental recently, the volume going through Base right now has been absolutely crazy. And we looked at the end of last year into the Base ecosystem, and I think that fundamentally this is going to be one of the strongest ecosystems in crypto going forward. So I wanted some exposure to projects on Base, particularly ones that are just partnered with Base, because you know what partnerships mean in the future. Who knows? Maybe a Coinbase listing could be on the cards. You never know. That could obviously then amplify the price significantly. And if you got in around a $20 million valuation, things would be looking pretty good. And to be honest, for a coin of this size to have only come down, I say only come down around 71% and being sat down around 63% from December highs, actually is pretty impressive. It shows a strong community of holders. And I know many people will be in the comments like, oh, just down 70%. Guys, down 70% for a coin of a market cap like this is really not that bad. If you go and look at some of the bigger market cap coins, they've come down far more aggressively than this, which is actually pretty surprising. Other indicators I've been looking at over the last few days is how quickly they've managed to bounce and recover from some of the downside action that we've seen. TARS AI, currently up 6.6% on the day, also captured my attention because just from yesterday it actually had a spike, nearly around 40%. Obviously has seen a little bit of a sell-off since then. But actually, unlike many other crypto projects that bled pretty hard through last year, TARS AI kept this level incredibly well. Right now, you find ourselves back at this level. Just at the end of last year, when the markets picked up quickly, in a short space of time, you saw it go up 334%. The other main reason why TARS AI looks particularly interesting right now is that it's built on Solana. And Solana, whenever there's max fear or people saying that something is a scam or whatever negative news about it, it's always, without fail, the time to buy into it. Okay, my opinion, of course, again, not financial advice. Do your own research. Okay, people like to buy when everyone's talking about a project. I like to buy into projects when everyone hates on them. Okay, Solana right now, despite the fact there's been all this like drama and whatever over meme coins, still has a ludicrous volume going on chain right now. Okay, 2 billion, 1 billion. Yes, things are dipping a little because of the pump fund saga, but we will see Solana starting to pick up once more. Looking down below, there is still a lot of projects that are not in meme coins or anything like that and still bringing in a lot of new liquidity and a lot of new value to the Solana chain. Also, we know without fail, when the markets start to continue to improve once more, you're going to see not only crypto improving because of the injection of liquidity from the M2 money supply, but you're also going to see the US stock markets improving as well. And what companies on the US stock market have been having a great time and will have a good time once the markets continue to improve? Nvidia. AI is obviously going to be a fundamental narrative of this year, and it can't not be because the speed at which it's growing is just absolutely crazy. TARS AI is the AI architecture protocol for Solana. It's backed by the Solana Foundation and is basically, if you wanted exposure to Solana and AI, the project that probably I would be looking at. It's basically providing an SDK or software development kit that allows different projects to build on Solana and then implement various different AI tools. Okay, so think of all those projects that are wanting to build on Solana, which there are still huge numbers of those that want to implement those different kind of AI capabilities, and this is where TARS AI comes in. Solana obviously wants to have its name associated with certain AI projects out there, top quality ones. TARS AI fits the bill. And I wanted to buy back into it because actually I still was buying and accumulating down here. I did add to my position up here, so I have seen a little bit of downside on that add up there. But from here, you know, I'm happy to kind of continue to accumulate back in once more from these kind of discounted price levels. Where else has my eye been drawn to? In the last few days, Aether has been having some really good strong pushes as well. And if I'm looking at Aether in terms of its revenue generation, development that's been going on over the last few months, this is well capturing my eye. There's also another project down here in terms of the smaller caps. And while I keep talking about the smaller caps, I just want to tell you, I still keep 70% of my portfolio in the larger cap coins. Smaller caps still make up for a minority. Okay, the majority of my portfolio is still sitting in Sui, Aptos, and a good chunk as well in ETH now. Okay, and I also am now trying to continue to DCA into these smaller projects. And I'm DCAing in with new kind of revenue that I'm generating, etc. There's just a note on that. I know people are like, oh, well, I have no more money to buy into crypto markets, and I appreciate that, okay? But the very reason I started this YouTube channel about 3 or 4 years ago is because I was like you and I sat there saying, I want more money to accumulate certain altcoins, and I couldn't do it. So I went out and I built myself a side hustle, which happened to be YouTube, which is now my full-time hustle. Okay? I'm not preaching to you or life coaching you. If you really want to try and make more money in this world, then don't just rely on crypto. Try and go and find yourselves other streams of income and then use crypto to inflate those kind of earnings. For example, if you wash a car and you get paid £10 for it, wouldn't it be great if you could wash a car and get paid £50 for it? Think about that £10. You could invest in a project, make 5x on it. Now you've made 50 quid. So go and wash some cars or do whatever it is. You get the picture. Now, as well as we look across this list, there are a load. I would have loved to have been able to buy into all of these projects, okay? There are a lot of them I still think are going to see some significant upside, some of which have seen some really strong downside. Why? They got really caught up in the excitement back in December, okay? The likes of Mode, the likes of Humans AI. Why? Because these projects really fundamentally appeal to retail investors. As they've been sold off aggressively, retailers are panicked. So what happens? They will sell too. Eventually, these projects will find a base, you buy into them, they will capture the attention of retailers once more, and they blow up as well. You really can't go wrong. Okay, there's not many crypto projects I think you can go that wrong on right now. Maybe meme coins. Okay, so if you're unsure, I would just go after the utility coins because they are yet to see a sustained push. And if you're new to crypto, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, I keep buying these projects, they only see short-term upside, then they see dips. Eventually, when that liquidity comes in big numbers and we start to see quantitative easing coming in across the world, then things are going to go absolutely crazy, and we're going to have a full-blown altcoin season like we always do. Okay, everyone in every previous bull market said that there wouldn't be an altcoin season until there was. Now, as I said, the majority of my portfolio right now sits in Sui. Sui has come down a big portion, but Sui still remains one of the strongest projects out there. I think it is going to be one of the best bigger market cap longer term holds. I'm probably going to do a deep dive on Sui later in the week, so I won't look into it too much now, but I know they have a huge amount of more exciting updates and things coming on from Sui coming up soon. Also, My Lovely Coin from My Lovely Planet, one of the best performing coins more recently, only pulled back 57%, which is absolutely crazy considering how small a market cap it has. And I think it's fundamentally because of a few factors. Not only do they have loyal community, but also it's a game built by the developers behind Candy Crush. It's a similar type of game, and very, very soon they are implementing their token into the game, which will upset the supply and demand model and should be very bullish for My Lovely Planet. Not only that, but they have some big exchange listings coming up soon. Their game itself also has similar retention numbers to what we see on Candy Crush. Retention's incredibly important when we think about video games, okay? Because it's really good for advertising, keeps people on them more and more. The more people who are actively playing and staying on the game, the more users they can bring on. Right now, they have a few 100,000 active game players. As soon as the official kind of crypto game gets launched later on in the next few months, then we're going to see those numbers start to expand, more money going into marketing and growing that game in general. Now, guys, that's just touching the surface. Feel free to take a screenshot, go and look into some of these projects in more depth. Obviously, there are other projects out there that you could also hold in your portfolio. Just because I hold these doesn't mean that there's no other project that belongs a place in a portfolio. This doesn't necessarily mean guaranteed that these are all going to be the top performing coins. I have a good spread across real world assets, gaming, across AI and DeFi, etc., as well as like a sprinkling of layer ones. Okay, this I believe to be the best portfolio for my own personal one. Also, people will be asking, is Sensei, where are you still holding Sensei or Super Champs? Those coins, I still hold Super Champs and Sensei. They're just not appearing here. Okay, it's market cap too small, I guess. But they still will also have good times, I think, in the upcoming bull market. Now, if you're just using Binance or Coinbase, you're not going to be able to find many of these altcoins because lots of them have smaller market caps. Therefore, I recommend highly that you go and use the links down below for either WEEX, MEXC, or Bitunix. All of these three exchanges can be used to purchase all of the different coins out there. MEXC has pretty much 0% fees, which makes it one of the cheapest exchanges to use. Has over 4,500 different altcoins available, and you can use the link down below and you'll get an additional bonus. Not only that, MEXC has also introduced a sister exchange called WEEX, another exchange I use, has a huge amount of different altcoins, again, super low fees, but also does not require a KYC or know your customer. So sign up down below if you want to use WEEX as well. And as well, one of the exchanges I use the most is Bitunix, doesn't require KYC. Again, they'll list coins that I personally ask them to list. So if you want them to list specific coins and you don't want to use KYC to buy them, then let me know down below which coins you want to buy. I personally use all of these exchanges all the time. I recommend using a variety of different exchanges so you can find all the different altcoins you want to buy when you want to buy them. All of the links are down below in the description for that. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Do me a favor, please hit that like button. And if you haven't already and you want to find out how to make money during this crypto bull market, and it is coming, then make sure you subscribe, notification bell turned on, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye-bye.